welcome to my channel. Wherever you happen to sit on that rainbow, you're welcome. Really, come on in. Let's sit down, have a chat. Because I have a few things to tell you that I experienced. So hopefully they'll help you out. Isn't she cute? I'm gonna add some like hair to her hair, and I'm gonna give her little like pigtails. Like, I think she'll look adorable when I'm done. Cause I have some ideas, but yeah. I'm going to get some felt too, and I'm going to see if I can't learn how to start doing felting because I'm really curious about it. So I like to do a lot of craft things, and because I have fibromyalgia, I have to stay busy in some way or another, or else my mind, I go a little loopy, I think, because I also have ADD or ADHD, one of them. I think it's ADHD. But what I'm trying to set up right now are levels of activity that I can do no matter how tired I feel. So if I'm really, really tired, I can still do some stitches, you know? If I'm a little less tired than that, then I can do something more involved, and so on. That way I'm constantly adding to my creative ideas, and that way I always feel like I've accomplished something, because that's the worst feeling you get by having fibromyalgia, is the lack of feeling of accomplishment that you used to perhaps be able to get a lot more of when you did not have this. Or at least that's been my experience, and generally I just speak for myself. And if other people find things in common with it, then I'm happy. They can understand. But yeah, so that's my plan. I've been doing some reading online, and there's a town called Leicester. Correct me if I've said that wrong. I think it's, and any of you can, of course, correct me at any point in time. I believe there's Leicester, and then there's another Leicestershire. I hope I said that right. Probably did not, and I'm sorry. All right. Well, I've been writing down little ideas and things in my little book. Ooh, I hope that's not too shiny. But I thought it was adorable, and it says, shell, yeah. I mean, I like mermaids. I'm not going to say that I go out of my way to buy mermaid items, but they're pretty, you know. So I thought it was really neat. Plus, I mean, it shifts color too. See, I love these things. They're so cool. Uh, I love things like that change color, bioluminescence. The even the jellyfish when they have light from behind. Oh, so beautiful. From a distance though. Mm-mm. They stay away from me, and we can coexist. Same thing kind of goes for spiders. Mm-mm. No, they scare me. They really do. And it's not a logical fear. Anyway, I'll go into that one day. So, here's some things that I found out. As far as differences between mental health and between that here, and then of course mental health back where I was living in America. Now, these are my experiences, okay? This is what I have felt and seen. And of course, through word of mouth, what my friends have relayed to me. Uh, I need some water. Just a moment. Okay. In Texas, where I lived, it was a city called Austin, Texas. Beautiful, beautiful city. I love it there. And if I had to choose a Texas town to go back to, that's where I would go, because it was very diverse. And I love their little motto, keep it weird. Katz's Deli down there. They had the natural pools and some really great like venues and festivals. Eeyore's birthday. I don't know if they still do that. I don't know, but I hope so. Um, but I really, 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 really miss Austin, Texas. Um, I miss the people, and I seriously miss Elysium nightclub. That's where I used to go every weekend and Fridays. And some nights it was surprising. It wouldn't be, the goth show. It would be something else. So I didn't mind that. I would learn new things and see new things and, oh, okay, moments. So it was lovely living there, and there were a lot of really great things, but there were some drawbacks, as in anywhere you live, you're going to have severe drawbacks. And one of them, and this very much has to do with health, uh, was my neighbor, and her name was Rosie. Okay, she was this really, really lovely lady. She was in her 70s, not too late, not too old, but not too so much that she uh, couldn't do things for herself. But she was unfortunately living on just her Social Security, and for her, every month she had to make a choice. And I knew about this because we became close. We talked a lot, and I liked her as a person, you know. And so as we're talking, she revealed to me um, the length and breadth of her problem. She had to choose every month between, do I get my prescription medicine or do I buy my food? Because she really could not afford both. And I'm sad to say, but her children were absent. They did not come around for her birthday celebration. They weren't there for any kind of holidays of any kind. And so once I had realized it was her birthday, I baked her a cake. And I'm not a great baker, but I made a decent box cake. I did. I iced it for her. I drew what I thought roses should look like. I did my best. Don't make fun, please. And then I had a DVD player, and there were a couple of movies, and that was pretty much what I had. It was what I could give her. So, I knocked on her door, and she answered, and she was a lot smaller than me, and she just burst into tears, and I didn't want her to be upset. But I realized they were happy tears. It was a wonderful night, because she felt like somebody cared. And we became closer friends after that, and it was really nice. But the problem remains, though. I mean, here's this lady who's such a good person, that, she tried her very best at life. She worked hard all her life, and she's having to choose between food and vital medicine that she needed. What kind of choice is that? I'm asking. Because I know it's not a character question, but this is just one example of somebody I know that had to make a choice like that. We should be asking ourselves, why does somebody have to make that choice? When we're throwing out so much food, and I don't mean on a personal individual level, I mean at the grocery level, they have certain standards of shape that they'll accept, from my understanding, and anything that does not conform to that is not wanted, and most of the time it's being thrown out. And I am thankful for some of the small projects I've been seeing where they're taking these fruit or vegetables that are not, they call them wonky or weird, and they're attempting to sell them, and of course people are buying them because they don't really care. And I want more of that. But anyway, so um, got Rosa, and she she ended up dying. Uh, I haven't really talked about this very much to anyone, but um, her kids never showed up, and I found out after the fact, um, after she was gone, like because I worked so many hours, and it was at that time I was working. What was it? 12 hours a day, and on holidays, the minimum really to keep up with the overtime was about 16 hours a day. It was very exhausting. But I liked it. I had the energy. I didn't feel bad, and so I could do it. So, sign me up. I was really good at that. Well, when it comes to mental health, if you have insurance, which I did when I worked for this company, and I made an appointment and I spoke to a psychiatrist, and he and I spent many an afternoon just speaking about the abuse and well, maliciousness, the narcissism, the alcoholism, and many other topics related to my childhood. And it was really nice because there was no pressure for payment because it was being covered by my company, and I was able to work through some things, which was, I believe what doctors like that are there for. They're there to assist you in moving past these difficult times. Uh, that is, of course, if we cannot do that for ourselves. But when my back became such a problem that I could not return to work in the timely fashion which they wanted, even though they were stating, take your time, get better, do what the doctors tell you, whatever time, you come back whenever you're ready, um, was something that they had said uh, in various forms and outright. And yet I do this warily, mind you, and I followed the doctor's instructions, and the next thing I know, I don't have a job anymore. And I was obviously mentally strained because of this, because at that point I had been put into a wheelchair. I had gained a substantial amount of weight, which I'm still trying to shift. It's from taking all the steroids and having a low functioning thyroid, and there's a lot of stuff going on. But a lot of things changed for me very suddenly, and so I started to look at this, the state level, city level, what was available in Austin, Texas at the time. And I did not have a car, and I do have some anxiety. So the idea of driving a car has not always appealed to me. I always would rather like ride the bus or I don't know, ride a horse. um, just not a car. Cars they make me nervous. I'd rather somebody else drive it that know what they do or what they're doing, and so I don't have to drive, and that would be great. Because my vision, I am, my depth perception is very awry, very awry. But found out where I had to go to begin the journey of getting mental health care for people with no health insurance. Well, I was told to arrive and go to a particular address and be there no later than 7 a.m. Okay. I am a night owl, so the idea was daunting, but hey, needs must. You do what you have to do to get what you need to get the help, right? it's what we do. Um, and it also proves, we do want the help, we do need the help. It's not a flippant choice, right? So I actually arrived there earlier because if it's state funded and if it's anything like getting food stamps, then I knew 7 a.m. would be probably late and the line would be around the corner. So I got there at 5 a.m. and I was right. I had to apply for food stamps recently because obviously losing my job had made that difficult. So yeah, so I'm waiting. And that the idea they said that we could be called at any point during that day, depending on how fast they process the people that were there. So okay, so I found a place to sit down, and I just waited. By the time I was called, it was towards the end of the working day, so I had been there all day. And somebody saw me and they said I was to show up at this one building at this appointed time. This would be my doctor, and to not miss this appointment. Okay. Now, they did not stress how important it was to not miss the appointment. I kind of rather took it upon myself to add that pressure of how important it was. I just have feelings about things, and every time I don't listen to those feelings, something happens, and it makes me wish I had. So I just listen to them. And no, I don't mean I hear voices in my head. It's just a feeling. Although I do talk to myself, but it's not it's not the sort of thing you think. It's like when you're alone in the house and you just, I don't know, you talk to yourself like, I think I can get this done. Pretty sure. Yeah. All right. Well, let's do this. That kind of stuff. It's like self-motivating because I'm in a lot of pain. But moving on, back to the main topic, steering forward. Okay. So my appointment comes along and I'm on the bus and I get to um, the building where I'm supposed to be and I check in. Okay. So I go take a seat and it is an experience being seated in that building. Not everybody that is there is capable of sitting still. Um, Understandable. I get that. Some of them are unpleasant, um, whether verbally or unfortunately maybe they just don't have a place to live, can't get to a bathroom. I don't know, but it was unpleasant. But again, I needed help. I knew I did, and there was nothing else available. So you say thank you, you nod, you accept what you have, and that's what you do. So I waited, and my doctor called me in, and there was a Robin Williams movie. I do not remember which one it was, but he had on a red nose, I think, or red clown shoes. But he's talking to a psychiatrist, and he notices that the man's not listening to him one iota. So he puts on a little show, and it's hilarious. He's like, I'm just going to jump on my nether appendage and bounce around the office. And the doctor apparently is like, clearly doesn't hear what he said. Well, the point is that I felt as if I had the same doctor. I could have said anything, and he didn't hear nothing I was saying. And it was a little crushing, but at the same time, I understand in a way the amount of work that they have on their plate and how draining it must be to only have this much time to work on this many patients. So I try to see it from his point of view too. I never took it out on my doctors, but I was constantly and perpetually in a state of just dissatisfaction. I know everybody there was too. because it's so underfunded. It is. And if you ask me, mental health is a huge epidemic. Huge. And it seems like a lot of governments are content to ignore it. I don't know. So the doctor waits until I'm done, I suppose. He realized I had finished speaking and he gave me some prescriptions. We spoke for a few minutes. Didn't really get to the depth of anything. And yeah, I went down the flight of steps and I was told to go to the little, it's like a half door, and the top part of the door is against the wall, and the bottom half you can like put your arm on it and lean a little bit and wait for your pills, like, or just stand and wait. But it's a whole room stocked with, from what I can tell, are like samples. Um, and it's completely understandable. The pharmaceutical representatives, they always like to travel and give away samples. So, okay. They had, what was it? I was on Seroquel and, oh goodness. I'm not coming up with the name of the other one quite right now, but I was misdiagnosed anyway. But I continued to go to these appointments and I went faithfully. I went every time I had to go. So my journey was fine, but I had friends who I went to, the club with, and they had a different story to tell. And it was their fault because they had agreed to something that they could not um, commit to. It is really hard to commit to something like that you will never miss an appointment. That's very hard. I mean, that's trying to satisfy something, and you don't know the nature of like a little bit of chaos that life likes to throw at you. It does like to throw chaos at people. So you don't know exactly what's coming your way. Well, one of my friends that I can think of missed an appointment. So when he went back to this building where we happen to be speaking about right now, they told him that he would have to start the process over from the beginning. And that was the penalty for not arriving to the doctor's appointment on time. Not, even factoring in, what if the public transport was late and it was out of your hands. I've heard that, and in my opinion, it's a perfectly reasonable excuse. I've ridden public transportation for many years, and there are very many times where they're not on time, and you can't tell whether they're going to be early or if they're going to be late or how late. You just don't know. So I don't think it's fair to push that particular schedule onto your employees and expect them to know. Like uh, they're not, would that be psychic? Yeah, they're not psychic. I mean, they want to do the work, but they don't know what bus route's going to be, just like mutations. They don't know when the bus is going to be arriving or if they're going to be late because of it. But fair does not seem to be a word that applies very often to state-funded mental health care. There really, it went on like that, as I described to you, where I would go to the doctor, they would refill my prescriptions, and then I would go home. There was not a lot of therapy. It was more like, get on with it, but here's some pills to calm you down and help you. Okay, all right, and I accepted that, and I ran with it because it was something that I was offered, and it was not nothing. So, you take it, you say thank you, and you move forward. Some people, they might not see a reason to appreciate it, but it's a little something. And when you're struggling with your mental health, it can be it can save your life, really, depending on what the situation is. Now, one thing that I did notice when I did have insurance, there was one time when I was very, very depressed, and they found out that it was in in tune with the pain that I was feeling from the fibromyalgia, which I had not been diagnosed with, and I didn't actually know what I was suffering from. So I was becoming really depressed because of it, and I would. There were a lot of signs that were really bothering me, and so I decided, why not take a few days to sign myself into like a mental health clinic sort of place and see if they can't provide a little guidance and help me. I would have the money to pay for that, and that in my mind, I believe to an extent that should provide me with a little bit of a level of care. I was wrong, but you try. You try to convince yourself of these things. You think if you throw enough money at it, it'll make things better. I don't know. I think there's certain tiers. TIERS. So I go in there for a few days, and it really was the same thing, except we did have like circle chats, and there were workshops that we worked through. And, there were times when I would sleep, but it wasn't often because you can't sleep with the door closed. And there was another person staying in your room across from the room where you are. You don't know them. You do not know what they're suffering from. And when you wake up and you see them walking around the room, and then they start screaming randomly, it's a little counterproductive to getting sleep. It's a little hard to sleep. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But, yeah. And yes, that was a joke, but it was real. But I have learned that laughter makes my day go better, especially with pain. So I try to find things funny as often as possible. Even if they weren't funny at the time, if I can laugh about it now, it's a good thing. I think that's important. Um, but after a few days, I was told that I would have to go. When I asked why, they told me that my health insurance had run out. So there you go. That's why I was accepted in there, because I had coverage, and now that I didn't, I was on my own because of money. And that's really all it boils down to. You know it, I know it, they know it, it's a well-known fact. No matter how they dress it up, no matter what words they use to describe it, the bottom line, at least in my experience, is money. Okay, so living in England and having the problems that I do. Okay, so I tried to do it on my own without any kind of um, major medication. I had what I had left over. I was taking a little bit of those, trying to taper myself off. But my mood swings were out of control, and it, I was I was looking at myself, and I just did not like how I was behaving. It did not need to be that way. So I decided to contact the people for mental support here in England. Okay, so I did. And I was finally, I went to my GP first, and he gave me a form, and I was supposed to answer all these different questions about how I was feeling. And then I got referred to the mental health people. Once that happens, then they contact you and set up an appointment. Well, once they did, they set me up an appointment with a psychiatrist who was like within walking distance. Um, and and a psychologist as well, same building, which was pretty nice. Now, I will say this: the psychologist said that I might want to look at Jenny Craig or Weight Watchers. Okay. Well, I mean, of course, but that was unless I had a thyroid problem. Now, I, I try not to say anything about it at the time, but I decided, you know what, I'm going to email him when I get home and, just talk to him about it. Well, I had another doctor's appointment before I would go see him again. And while I was there, and a few days after my doctor's appointment, it would come to pass that the nurse noticed something in my blood work, and then she came back and spoke to me and said, "It looks like you have a thyroid problem." Okay, so they went and did more blood tests on me. By the time it came back, they said that I have a low functioning thyroid. And so the problems I'm having are not unusual, and actually the weight gain and the appearance that I have is not unusual either because of that. So I emailed the doctor, the psychologist. I explained that to him, and I I don't send a lot of emails to individual people, uh, and so it actually got sent his to the whole building, um, and they transferred him somewhere else. I don't really know where, but I think he was in the wrong, because it wasn't exactly his purview to tell me that. I'm aware, painfully aware of the weight, believe me. But I'm working on it, and I haven't become bigger. I've stayed pretty much the same. So, I'm not trying to gain weight, and losing weight happens occasionally, and then it comes back and then it goes. You'll see over time. If you stay with me, you'll notice that. That's just the way it works. But all that was standing, he did help me in one way because he realized that what it is not bipolar. It was borderline personality disorder, the non-violent sort. I have abandonment issues because I have an abusive mother. Okay, so once I understood that, I went online and I started doing research about borderline personality disorder. So I didn't know much about it. Um, and when I was reading about it, at first it felt hopeless. I was so concerned that I was going to be this unpleasant, horrible person for the rest of my life. But what I found was over time I could understand it more, why I reacted the way I did. And you're never cured, but the pill that I'm on helps alleviate some of the symptoms, and I'm very thankful for that. It kind of evens me out a bit, so I don't get really angry, which is just, it's like a surge of emotions. And it's something that you deal with when you're like this. I really wish I did not have to, but again, wishing doesn't change anything. So, you do the best you can with what you have. And anyway, the health, the mental health coverage that I have here, I say coverage, I mean like support that I have here, has been good. It does have a little bit of a wait time, but then again, in order to be seen by professionals, I can understand that. And in the interim, in between that, while you're waiting, there's lots of support groups. There are charities that actually give you numbers that you can call. There's people that will help you. And that means everything when you're suffering. And it really helped me out a lot. So, and the fun part about it is over here is that it didn't cost me anything, and it didn't leave me with a bill that will like chase me for the rest of my life. Like, people with mental health issues don't need more stress, and from what I've seen, the size of the bills that you're given in America definitely add a lot of stress to an already stressed and strained mind that's trying to make it in this world. is difficult, you know, but I really believe it can be overcome. And I think that this callousness, this misuse of the talents of all these doctors and nurses over there, I have seen plenty of interviews where they wish they could do things the way they do it over in the NHS, you know? And I I love America. I love where I live now. I'm happy in either place, you know? What I want is to be able to see the people that I care about not have to worry so much, you know? Just be able to get the help that they need and move on in their life and you know, create dreams and be happy. I think that's all anybody really wants for anyone, right? You know? So yeah. I did want to say one thing though. Thank you so much for all the new subscriptions. I'm blown away. I I can't believe how many people subscribed. Um, and I can only hope that I can keep providing you with content and like stories and things that I've experienced that might help what you have curiosities about, you know? So I'm going to end it here. It's already gone over a lot more than I meant to, but mental health is kind of a big deal. So, anyway, you guys take care, and I'll talk to you later, okay? Mwah.